Bro, let me really paint this picture for you. You're sitting there, minding your business, staying disciplined, no contact, no late night texts, no checking her story to see if there's a hidden message. You're focused on your life again, trying to build some structure out of the emotional wreckage. And yet somewhere between your morning coffee and those long quiet scrolls before bed, it hits you. She's quiet too. No messages, no signs, not even a casual, hey, just nothing. And that silence, it starts to echo. Your mind races. Has she moved on? Is this her game now? Is she even thinking about me? But let me tell you something real, something that cuts through all the guessing. That silence between you two, it's not a standoff. It's not some battle of pride. It's a mirror that forces both of you to confront who you are without each other. And the truth is, the one who breaks first isn't always the one who cares more. It's usually the one who's forgotten who they are. That's why this moment, this quiet, isn't about waiting. It's about transforming. It's about becoming. You're not here to hope she reaches out. You're here to become the version of yourself that doesn't just get noticed, he gets remembered. Not because he begged for attention, but because he turned the pain into purpose. While she's doing no contact, you're doing reinvention. You're not on pause, bro. You're on build mode. This is the time where you stop asking what if and start becoming what's next. The man who can sit in silence without breaking, without chasing, without folding, that's the man who owns his power. And the wild part, the more grounded, focused, and self-driven you become, the smaller her silence starts to feel. It doesn't control you, it reminds you of your mission. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about her, it's about you. It's not about whether she ever comes back. It's about whether you rise so high you don't need her to. Point 1. Stop watching the clock. Start rebuilding the man. One of the biggest and most common mistakes guys make during no contact is turning it into a countdown, like they're on some invisible timer, waiting for a bell to ring and magically bring her back. They mark the days, day 12, day 26, day 40, like they're prisoners scratching lines on a wall, hoping that if they just hold out long enough, she'll come running back with open arms. But here's the truth most won't tell you, the truth that separates the boys from the men. No woman is drawn to a man who waits in emotional limbo. Waiting communicates neediness. Waiting says your life is on hold. But strength says you're moving forward, regardless of whether she circles back or not. You are not on pause. You're not some background character in her story, hoping for a cameo. You are the main character in your own narrative, and it's time to act like it. Every moment you spend wondering if she's thinking about you is a moment stolen from your own growth. You don't build an empire checking your phone. You don't become the man you're meant to be staring at a screen, refreshing her feed, or replaying old conversations in your head like they're going to reveal something new. Let go of the fantasy that she'll come back just because you waited long enough. That kind of thinking will bury you. It keeps you stuck. Instead, start thinking about who you were before you met her. Think about the man you were becoming, the dreams you had, the version of yourself that didn't need approval, that wasn't looking for permission to thrive. Reconnect with that fire. Channel the energy you're using to miss her into the mission to become unrecognizable in the best possible way. Hit the gym, not just to look good, but to discipline your mind. Fix your finances, not to flex, but to create freedom. Level up your skills, rebuild your routines, cut the dead weight from your habits, from your circle, from your mindset. Become obsessed with the idea of outgrowing the version of yourself she walked away from. Because let's be honest, the man she left behind, that man had weaknesses. That man had cracks in the foundation. That man got comfortable. But the man you're becoming now, he's different. He's not just waiting for a second chance. He's building a life where that second chance isn't even necessary. And maybe one day she looks back. Maybe she reaches out. But by then, you won't be the guy she left. You'll be the man she never saw coming. You're not in hiding. You're not frozen in time. You're building, quietly, relentlessly. So forget the countdown. This isn't a waiting room, it's a war room. You're not watching time. You're weaponizing it. Remember that. Quick break. Close your eyes for a second. Picture her, the girl you've always wanted. Feel what it would be like to actually have her. Now open your eyes, because here's the truth. Right now, you're invisible to her. You're getting outcompeted by guys with more money, better looks, higher status, and stronger game. You're playing a rigged game, and you're losing. But I've spent the last 35 years mastering this, studying, testing, and finally finding the secrets to get the girls I always wanted. You want to stop getting ignored? You want her chasing you? Then you need to wake up and act. Click the link in the comments if you are truly committed and take the first step toward becoming that guy. Few spots left. Be fast or miss out your last chance to make her yours. Let's get back to it. Point 2. Control the narrative in her mind without saying a single word. See, silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's a message. It's a move. But here's the part most men miss. Silence only speaks when it's backed by strength. Weak silence is just avoidance. Strong silence, that's presence, that's power. During no contact, your silence isn't just you doing nothing, it's you saying everything. And what grabs her attention more than any text, story view, or moody quote about healing? Unpredictability, the unexpected calm, the emotional control, the version of you that doesn't flinch, doesn't chase, doesn't play into the pattern, because the second she notices you're not watching her stories, not engaging, not throwing digital breadcrumbs hoping she bites, she starts asking questions. Why hasn't he reached out? Did he move on? Was I not enough to keep him fighting? And that question mark in her mind. That's the power shift. That's the exact moment she realizes she doesn't have you figured out anymore. And no, that's not playing games. That's reclaiming your identity. Because whether you like it or not, every woman creates a narrative after a breakup, a story, one where she's the one who saw the truth and walked away from the man who couldn't keep up, or one where she was the victim and you were careless. It doesn't matter what version she tells herself, it's never fully accurate. But here's the twist, your job isn't to correct her story. It's not to send long texts defending your intentions or explaining your growth. That's noise. That's effort wasted. Your only job is to become so elevated, so undeniably different that her old narrative doesn't even fit you anymore. Make her assumptions obsolete. Outgrow the version of yourself she thinks she knows. Let her sit with the silence while you move with purpose. While she tries to decode your lack of presence, you're creating a presence so powerful it doesn't need to speak. Let her wonder. Let her fill in the blanks. Let your growth rewrite the narrative without you ever having to say a word. That's how you win this game. Not by responding, but by becoming unrecognizable to the version of you she thought she left behind. Point 3. Master emotional poker and never reveal your hand. One of the most underestimated weapons a man can wield after a breakup is emotional discipline. It's the one thing she doesn't expect, because let's be honest, most women are used to seeing men unravel during no contact. They're used to the late night "I miss you" texts, the passive-aggressive Instagram stories, the angry reactions, the desperate attempts to be seen or heard. That's the pattern. That's the script. So when you don't follow it, when you stay silent, unreadable, unfazed, you become a mystery, and mystery breeds power. See, this isn't just about the things you don't say, it's about the energy you refuse to leak. You don't owe her updates, you don't owe her a display of pain, you don't owe her proof that you've changed. Because the second you let your emotions spill out in her direction, you're giving her control over your inner world. And that's where most men fall. They react. But you're not reacting. You're responding to life with purpose. You're learning to sit with the discomfort, to stand in the silence, and still not flinch. That's emotional poker. It's keeping your composure when everything inside of you wants to scream. It's not about being cold, it's about being calm. It's not about not feeling, it's about choosing when, where, and how you express those feelings, and who's actually earned access to them. Because here's the truth, she might be doing no contact too. She might be trying to stay quiet and composed, but the man who navigates that silence without cracking, without signaling desperation, without blinking, that's the man who owns the room, even when he's not in it. Your absence, when paired with self-control, becomes presence. She won't see you, but she'll feel you. That's the energy you need to carry. The the kind that doesn't demand attention, but commands respect through sheer composure. And when she realizes she can't read you, can't predict you, can't break you, that's when the tables start to turn, not because you chased, but because you mastered the one thing most men never do: control over your own emotional state. Point 4. Turn her curiosity into doubt, without lifting a single finger. If you've ever crossed her mind, even for a second, then trust this: your silence has already planted a question. But what starts as curiosity? Why hasn't he reached out? What is he thinking? Quickly evolves when you hold your frame. When you don't break, don't beg, don't broadcast your emotions to the world, that harmless curiosity begins to shift into something much more unsettling: doubt. And doubt is powerful, because doubt makes her question everything. Is he actually happier now? Has he outgrown me? Was I the one seeking reassurance while he was pulling away quietly the whole time? That shift, from her believing you're sitting in heartbreak to wondering if you've leveled up without her, is where your silence becomes strategy. Understand, you don't need her to panic. You don't need her to spiral or suffer. That's not what this is about. What you need is for her to recognize something deeper, that you're not frozen in time waiting for her to return. You're not stuck. You're moving forward with force even if she can't see it. You're getting stronger, clearer, more grounded. And that kind of evolution, it creates a contrast, a gap between who you were and who you're becoming. The version of you that chased, explained, and gave too much, that man is gone. In his place stands someone silent, composed, and in motion. And here's the psychological twist: the more progress you make, the heavier your absence feels. She may have been the one who initiated no contact, but your calm execution of it, paired with your visible or even subtle growth, reverses the pressure. That seed of doubt you've planted begins to take root. It lingers in her mind longer than any message ever could. And remember this equation: silence plus progress equals pressure. Not emotional games, not manipulation, just pure intentional growth while letting her fill in the blanks. And often, what she imagines is more powerful than anything you could say. That's the art of the quiet comeback. You don't return with noise. You return as someone so evolved that the silence speaks volumes on your behalf. Point 5. Detach without bitterness, because that's what real strength looks like. Too many people confuse detachment with indifference, as if stepping back means you never cared. But the truth is, the deepest form of detachment doesn't come from a lack of emotion. It comes from a place of profound clarity. It's the realization that you can love someone with your whole heart and still choose yourself when love starts costing you your peace. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. It takes serious strength to walk away from something you once craved, not because you stopped caring, but because you started respecting yourself more. That's the kind of energy that doesn't scream or post quotes about healing. It simply exists, calm, composed, unshaken. And trust this, she'll feel that from miles away. She might interpret your silence as coldness or your calm as disinterest. She might convince herself you've shut down, moved on, or stopped feeling altogether. But what really happened? You stopped pouring from an empty cup. You stopped negotiating your worth. You realized that loving someone doesn't mean losing yourself in the process. And that shift, that quiet decision to detach without resentment, shakes her more than any fight ever could. Why? Because it's not reactive. It's not emotional warfare. It's sovereignty. It's you saying, I can care, but I will not chase. I can remember, but I will not return to something that cost me my center. That kind of detachment doesn't just echo, it lingers. It challenges her ego. It makes her reflect in ways your words never could, because now you're not trying to prove your value, you're embodying it. So no, you don't detach because you hate her. You don't step away to win, to manipulate, or to make her feel small. You detach because you finally understand that your peace is worth protecting, that you can hold space for love and still release what no longer serves your evolution. And that quiet, grounded self-respect, that's the version of you she never expected, but the one she'll never forget. Point 6. Become so grounded that her silence feels small. At the end of the day, her silence only has power if you're still desperately seeking noise. If you're still waiting for her to reach out, to validate you, to show you she still cares, then her silence becomes a loud, dominating force in your life. It rattles you, shakes you, makes you question your worth and your path. But here's the breakthrough. When you become so grounded, mentally, emotionally, and physically, her absence no longer affects you. It no longer triggers fear or insecurity. Instead, it reminds you of what you've built. Her silence becomes a reminder that you're no longer chasing anyone for validation. You're no longer seeking external approval to feel whole. You've created something far more powerful, a life centered on your own purpose, your own evolution. So let her do no contact. Let her stay quiet. While she's trying to shift the power, you're shifting your identity. You're not just surviving the silence, you're thriving in it. Because when you become the man who doesn't flinch in the face of uncertainty, when you learn to sit in the silence and not let it shake you, that's the man who commands respect, even in his absence. That's the man she'll remember, long after the no contact phase is over. The one who didn't crumble, the one who didn't beg, the one who didn't lose himself in the chase. And here's the ultimate shift. If she's gone silent, let her. This moment isn't about whether she returns or whether she regrets her decision. This moment is about your rise. This is your invitation to level up, to become the best version of yourself without waiting for anyone to notice or acknowledge it. You rise because you know your worth doesn't hinge on someone else's actions. You rise because you're on your path, and nothing, not even silence, can derail you. So let her retreat into her silence, but let it only fuel your progress. This is not about whether she comes back into your life. This is about becoming the man who is too evolved to ever need to chase in the first place. In the end, this isn't about waiting for her to come back. It's not about tracking the days or hoping that silence will break, only to find yourself stuck in a cycle of longing and uncertainty. This journey is about reclaiming your power, about becoming the man who doesn't need to chase validation or attention because he's already learned to give that to himself. Every moment of silence is an opportunity, not to shrink, but to rise, to elevate your life, your mind, your body, and your spirit to places where nothing, not her absence, not her silence, not even the longing you feel can throw you off course. It's about remembering that your value doesn't depend on anyone else. When you stop seeking outside validation, when you stop waiting for her to re-enter your life, you become the version of yourself that commands respect without asking for it. And whether or not she returns, you'll realize this: you've already won. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. If this message spoke to you or gave you something to think about, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new drop. I've got more real talk, more growth, and more power coming your way, so stay locked in. And if you're going through something right now, just remember, your silence can say more than 1,000 words ever could. Take care of yourself, keep rising, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.